Okay, so I've got the Denver Broncos depth chart up here. Well, not right now because it just reloaded, but I'll kind of just go through the whole roster, give my thoughts on the team, each position group at a time, and yeah, just give my overall thoughts on the team basically, and how good I think they'll be next year. So the first position, receiver, Cortland Sutton coming back from injury, I think he'll be very good. He was before the injury, kind of more of a, not really a speed threat, more of a 50-50 jump ball receiver, intermediate route runner. Not going to burn you deep, but he's just very good at everything else. So he's a reliable number one receiver who's still pretty young and developing. And they also got Jerry Jeudy, who they drafted last year, who had a lot of good flashes. He did have some problems like dropping the ball and some other stuff, but he was still pretty productive for a rookie. And he's an amazing route runner. So I think second year you should look for maybe a breakout from Jerry Jeudy having a really good year. If the quarterback play is good, I could definitely see that. I do like Jerry Jeudy, just amazing route runner. And just good overall receiver. Not really a burner, but still very good. Tim Patrick, who reportedly been on the trade block, they've got him. He was very surprising last year, kind of a bit of a breakout year for him, replacing Cortland Sutton in kind of his role because they're pretty similar players. Cortland Sutton are just better at that position. So I don't know how much play Tim Patrick gets. Maybe he still does get traded because, I mean, right now he's their fourth receiver, probably. Maybe third, but KJ Hamler probably in the slot because he's a slot receiver pretty much because of his size and speed. And they kind of probably need more speed on the offense. I wasn't really that impressed with KJ Hamler last year and coming out of college, and it kind of showed it. But still, they still probably need some more speed. I think KJ Hamler in the slot can be pretty productive, so I think that's fine. And you just have Tim Patrick backing him up, possibly. And then they also drafted Seth Williams. I thought that was a pretty good draft pick when they got him. It was pretty late in the draft. So I thought that was very good for them to get another big jump ball receiver in Seth Williams. In the red zone, man, they got three really good players like Seth Williams and Patrick Cortland. All these dudes are going to be very good in that area of the field. So that's very interesting. And we'll just see if Seth Williams, he'll definitely make the roster. Could definitely be their fifth or fourth receiver. What, like, kind of depending on what happens with Tim Patrick. Tyre Cleveland's, he's right as like a six receiver just down the depth chart. Kendall Hinton, probably a practice squatter and backup quarterback. Deontay Spencer's pretty decent as a returner, pretty much. That's kind of all he really is. So he'll kind of take that role probably. I don't really see anybody else really making the roster. Maybe somebody, one of these dudes shows out, probably Deontay Spencer or something. We'll just have to see. And then going on to offensive line, they got Garrett Bowles, left tackle. Yeah, he's been very decent for them. They gave him a new contract. He is like, I think he's like 20 or something. Like, just kind of broke out. So that's very good. He got a good left tackle there, very reliable. Even Cameron Fleming as a backup is pretty decent. He's pretty versatile also. That's a good backup. If players get injured, you can put Cameron Fleming in there at guard or tackle. Can also play right guard and right tackle. Like, can play left guard, left tackle. Just play everyone on the offensive line, probably besides center. He probably could play center anyway. Just very versatile, decent backup offensive lineman. So that's pretty good. Because, I mean, he was playing some significant snaps at New York. Just get him as a backup, I feel like pretty good. Dalton Reisner, left guard, he's still pretty decent, so that's fine. You like their offensive line, they got pretty reliable players like Dalton Reisner just being reliable, so that's fine. Center position, they got Lloyd Cushenberry, who was kind of, like pretty much horrible at the center position last year. So we'll see if Quinn Meinherz possibly can beat him out for that center position. I'm not sure if Quinn Meinherz does straight away. I think they'd probably give Lloyd Cushenberry another chance because he was a good player coming out of college, and they drafted him pretty high. And Quinn Meinherz is a pretty raw prospect coming out of Division Two. Just kind of a really good athlete. I think he'd be a good backup straight away. I think if Lloyd Cushenberry definitely doesn't work out, and just isn't horrible next year, also you got Quinn Meinherz. I think can be a very solid center or guard. Like he could possibly be a replacement for Dalton Reisner or Graham Glasgow in the future. So that's good. They got good depth on their offensive line. They got good backups. And right guard, Graham Glasgow was very good. One of the best guards in the league last year. So that's fine. Starting at right guard. Like, they're very solid. So that's good. Get Gray and Glasgow in there. And then Nathan Moody is a pretty decent backup also. Like if players get injured also, you got a reliable player in Nathan Moody. I do like that. I think he's a pretty decent prospect coming out of last year's draft from Fresno State. I think it was Fresno State. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Maybe fix me in the comments if you know. I'm pretty sure it was. So he's a good backup. And then right tackle Bobby Macy, kind of a veteran player. He's not amazing, but he's fine. Definitely declining. Probably only a 1 year player there. We'll just have to see with Bobby Macy. You can still be pretty reliable as a veteran offensive lineman. And then tight end, Noah Fant's very solid, good receiving threat. It's a good all-around tight end. He could probably emerge as a top 5 tight end next year. I think that's definitely possible. He's got all the skill set to do that and has been very productive. Just if the quarterback plays good, I think Noah Fant can be very good. I also like Albert Ojamuniya. Actually, Albert O. Albert O, that's what his name is. Yeah, Albert O, I think that was a good draft pick also last year. He showed some really decent play when he got a chance like Noah Fant getting injured at points. So I do like Albert O. I think as a backup tight end, he's very solid in that, and they got good depth. Eric Saubert, he's a fine third tight end, so that's pretty decent. And nobody really else. Austin Ford, converted receiver, whatever. The big position, quarterback. They got Drew Lock in there. They're probably going to have a quarterback battle in camp. Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater kind of battle it out for that number one quarterback position. Teddy Bridgewater does have a really good chance to take that. I just don't know how good, how much upside this team has if they don't have an elite quarterback in a division with two studs with Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. Derek Carr is pretty decent. It's been very hard in the AFC in total with all the other players when you got Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater trying to lead you to the Super Bowl. Because this roster is really complete. That's why I think that Aaron Rodgers, if he comes to the Broncos or they drafted Justin Fields, they could be an immediate contender in the playoffs and possibly get to Super Bowl. But maybe Drew Lock, that third year, he shows out, kind of Josh Allen type of breakout, where first 2 years, not amazing. And then he just has his third year, just blows up and then gets that big contract. We'll just have to see. I think it is definitely possible. He's definitely not as good as a prospect as Josh Allen coming out. I think you give Drew Lock a chance. I think he wins that starting job. And you have to have Teddy Bridgewater, who's a good backup. At least you got somebody behind Drew Lock if he is struggling to maybe somebody like Teddy Bridgewater can give you a different spark on the offense and possibly get you some wins. And Brett Rippon was pretty surprising when he came in. He had a pretty interesting game against the Jets. He had some pretty good play. Running back position, they got Melvin Gordon. Yeah, he's still pretty decent. Kind of slowed down a bit. Wasn't as productive as he was earlier in his career. But he's still solid. I think Javonte Williams kind of being that change of pace running back. I think Javonte Williams eventually takes that starting role. Could possibly be the starter straight away. Because I thought he was a really good running back coming out of college. I think I had him as my second-ranked running back. I think so. I think I had Najee, Javonte, and then Etienne. So I do like Javonte Williams. I think he's a stud and could really give you a really good running back straight away. Royce Freeman, Michael Boone, they're also pretty decent backups. Royce Freeman kind of that goal line player, bigger runner. Mike Boone was pretty good last year at points for Minnesota, so that's a good fourth running back. So they got some really good depth there on that running back position. Let's move on to the defense. So defensive line, they got a lot of players pretty much. Shelby Harris, still a good veteran, kind of underrated defensive tackle. So he's very solid in that role. Kind of the player in between Bradley Chubb and Von Miller, just holds up the line, really good run stopper, also pretty decent pass rusher. So that's a very good player. Johnston Harris is a decent backup also. So, that's a very good position for them. That defensive tackle's looking pretty good. Mike Purcell kind of being that big nose tackle, run stopper player. That's kind of his job. Comes in on those third and shorts and goal line areas. Just big body in there to stop the run. So he's good at that. Not really going to give you anything in the pass rush. Pretty much nothing, but he will be a very good run stopper. McDelvin Neem, kind of the same thing. Another really big player. Shamar Stephen, kind of more of that pass rushing defensive tackle. Maybe get him in for more pass rush snaps. And Draymond Jones, the other defensive tackle position, it's probably Draymond Jones and Shelby Harris. That's a pretty good pairing. Draymond Jones, still pretty young player, has some pretty good play. Nothing amazing, but he's all right as a defensive tackle. Better than a lot of defensive tackles in the league. So he's still pretty good player. Sean Williams, just backup. I mean, they don't got like a standout players really on the defensive tackle, but they got pretty surprising underrated players. I mean, the edge rushers, Bradley Chubb, still a really good edge rusher. Injuries last year kind of held him back a bit. I think he could have a very good year. He could be up for like double-digit sacks next year. Possibly maybe trying to get that sack trophy. So I could definitely see that from Bradley Chubb. He's got a bunch of upside. Very talented edge rusher, and a very good pairing with the other edge rusher, Von Miller, who'd be rushing the other side. He was injured last year, the whole year, got injured early, still very consistently good. Has definitely dropped off a bit. Like the year before he got injured, I think he only had like 6 or something snaps, maybe. But I think Von Miller is still very good. Good veteran, very smart. So even if like he won't get all the sacks anymore, he can still be very reliable and will gather a lot of attention from the offense, and they'll have to try and stop him, which could open up players like Bradley Chubb. And Malik Reed's also a pretty decent backup. Like he was very good when he got in for Bradley Chubb and Von Miller when they got injured, kind of showed out. So I could see him getting some good snaps in that backup type of role. I also like Jonathan Cooper. I thought that was a pretty good pickup for them. I don't know if they drafted him. It might have been undrafted, but I thought that was a pretty good player. He has some upside. So I could definitely see Jonathan Cooper getting a rotational role behind Von Miller. And so that's pretty decent. Their edge rush group looking good. They got 2 really good backups, I think. And then going into the linebacker position, Alexander Johnston. Johnston kind of came out of nowhere. Came into the league, I think, when he was like 28 or something. I can't remember why. I think it was like injuries and school and all that. I can't remember. But he was very good. Not an amazing athlete, more of a run stopper, but still very good at that. Like, not amazing in coverage, but he's good in the run game, definitely. Very smart player, good player in that middle of your defense. Jose Jewell probably going to be the other starter next to him. He's pretty good as that other linebacker. They're nothing special, really, both of the linebackers, but they're 2 pretty solid linebackers that can definitely give you some good play, but can also get picked on a bit. But I think they're still good in that middle of that defense. So I do like their linebacker pairing. They got Baron Browning listed as their backup linebacker. He could definitely be an edge rusher. I could see him being the edge rush behind Von Miller, because he kind of profiles more of that. He played quite a few edge rush snaps at Ohio State and kind of has the build to play edge rusher and could have some more upside there than linebacker, which I don't think he's amazing as just a linebacker if you class him as that. And they kind of got their 2 linebackers. He'd be a good backup, but they don't got a ton of depth behind him. Like Justin Strand and Josh Watson, that's pretty much your only 2 backups at the linebacker position. That isn't amazing, so maybe they just keep Baron Browning a linebacker and teach him there. But I think he could be a better off-the-ball linebacker, kind of edge rusher. Kind of you could use him when you bring in like those 3 linebackers. I could definitely see Baron Browning getting on the field. So I think that is a good player. I did like the draft pick where they got him also. Going on to secondary, their starters probably going to be Kyle Fuller on the outside, definitely. He's very solid, so I do see that. Bryce Callahan in the slot. I don't know why they have him listed at cornerback. He was one of the best slot corners in the league last year. I think he might have actually graded the best, so that's just dumb for our lads. So they need to fix that, because Bryce Callahan's a slot. Ronald Darby's an outside corner. So the 2 corners are definitely set. It's kind of that third corner. You don't know. They drafted Patrick Surtain 9th overall. Very complete prospect. You could definitely start straight away. He's got all the traits. But again, rookie corners, very hard to transition to straight away. I would just see it being Ronald Darby, who they signed on a 2-year contract. And you just you got 4 really solid corners anyway. And if Ronald Darby gets injured like he has been in the past, wasn't last year, but he definitely has been, you could see Patrick Surtain getting a lot of snaps. But I just think you roll out with the veterans next year, because, why not? Patrick Surtain's a rookie. You still got him for like 5 years probably. And then you come into contract and probably pick it up because I think he's going to be a very solid corner. Could definitely one day be like the best cornerback in the league. Just has a really good play in college. Just a very complete player. So I think Ronald Darby starts straight away, but you still need four corners. Like Michael Ojamuniya got a lot of snaps last year. So I think Patrick Surtain has even been that fourth corner. You bring him in for plays. Definitely, like you can rotate him in even at points. And when you got teams in that AFC West, like the Chiefs, who got like Tyreek Hill and stuff, you need corners. So I think that was a good draft pick. I mean, I would have preferred Justin Fields probably because their cornerback group was good. But they're not really committed to any players in their cornerback group either. Like Kyle Fuller, that was only 1 year. Ron Darby, I think that was 2 or 3. I can't actually remember. And Bryce Cannon either. None of these dudes are really set in for the long-term future. So I did think that Patrick Surtain was a good future pick. And Duke Dawson also kind of plays safety and corner. Yeah, I could see him definitely just playing corner, but can also play safety. That's a pretty versatile player. Kerry Vincent, I thought, was also a pretty good pickup. It was either, I can't remember. I think they might have drafted him really like, I think it was like 6th or 7th round possibly, or was undrafted. But that's a pretty good athlete who has some good play at LSU. So I thought that was good. And Michael Ojamuniya also, young rookie last year, kind of, I mean, just wasn't really good, but still a rookie. Was a bit surprising at points, like showed some good play, but nothing special. I think he could have some upside, but then they just kind of buried him on the depth chart, so I don't know if he gets a lot of play next year unless injuries happen. Isan Basie, backup. He got some playing time last year for injuries. And then safety, Kareem Jackson is that strong safety. I think that's solid. He's still good veteran, good all-round player, good run stopper pretty much. So I think Kareem Jackson probably only there for one more year of the players that they drafted. And of course, they got Justin Simmons, who one of the best safeties in the league. So you got a player locked in there, so I like that. But it's kind of the two players that got behind who they drafted, Jamar Johnston, Caden Stearns. I prefer Jamar Johnson than Caden Stearns. I didn't think Caden Stearns was a really good player, and they drafted him before Jamar Johnson, so I wasn't sure about that. I think Jamar Johnson could replace Kareem Jackson in the future as that strong safety role because Jamar Johnson isn't the greatest athlete. He's not that fast, but he's a very smart player who's a good tackler and just has really good instincts. So I would like Jamar Johnson to possibly take over that starting role in the future. And him and Justin Simmons could be good pairing. And then you just have Caden Stearns, who can probably play box safety because he's pretty big. Just not really an amazing athlete. Could take over strong safety. I just don't see. I don't really see Caden Stearns as that high-end prospect. So I think he's just a backup and pretty decent backup. Also got Trey Marshall, PJ Locke. They're also decent backups. So they got a lot of good depth in the secondary. I'm liking it. The defense as a whole, I think, is really good. And they don't got a lot of holes. Very good. Offense, we'll see with the quarterback play. Offensive line's good. Linebacker group's very good. Receiver position, they got some talent. So I think this team's one of the most complete teams in the league. Like, they're going to have a really good defense, I think, next year. The whole thing pretty much depends on injuries and quarterback play. If stuff falls in that type of situation, if Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater are just trash or a bunch of players get injured, then they won't be contended. I think if Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater are amazing, maybe not even amazing, just good, and then they don't have injuries, I think they can be very good. So I like that, but that's kind of it. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.